In the name of God, the most benevolent and the most merciful and the most advanced. In honor of the world host of this world room and the system admin have arisen from standing and will return to. In honor of the most advanced state known to be. In on March 7th, 2026. MW2599, aka Mr.Within, in cyberspace, wants to honor this title. Usually I come in and I'm still for a couple moments and I find the title in my concentration. This wasn't, it was a title I found in like the talk I gave before this. And so I'm honoring, it's more like I'm intuitively being told to talk about this rather than wanting to talk about it. Before I dive into it, I have shared in the description of the video. It provides an opportunity for forces on the other side of this podcast. I think the last Discord event was years ago, but the last join the Discord. Join the Discord event after this. Like gives people an opportunity like to discuss live. So click on the Discord. You can wait there until like this talk finishes, I guess. Alright guys, to it. Turns beyond our understanding. Why would a human being even say this? What is the value of noticing true limitation? You know, I like the word true. The word true placed in front of everything gives it a new aura. It's as if the person's like, I solved the problem. And then he's like, nah, I solved the true problem. We human beings hold truth in high regard because truth means the reality of functioning. Being alive on Earth, you're driving your car, but you didn't buy this car, you didn't create this car, you're just driving. You don't even know if it's your car. Just because the human form is existing within my moment of awareness does not mean that the known aspects of the moment can rule the unknown aspects. Ladies and gentlemen, understand there's an intensity the human species will confront, most likely not for the next in the next 100 years. If people choose to have a blind eye to it, was the inevitable is inevitable. That's the brilliance of this world. If there were like, what's a power greater than creativity? Power that has allowed it to even be here. The numbers are fascinating. They consider in a 300,000 civilizational year range. 300,000 civilizational range has existed around 117 billion humans, and 7% of all humans that have ever existed are alive now. That means every other human being we've ever seen, cool or uncool, you know, kind or cruel, righteous or unrighteous, great or not, every human being we have seen, we're the ones that come to us. Every day is not your interaction with the world that you just know. It is the conscious presence in the majesty of the unknown. Some people don't understand why there are those on this earth that consider God. There are those on this planet that do not understand why human beings would ascribe the agency of meaning to a position beyond them. And thank God, reality is not limited to people's understanding. Their access is. But reality is this. What does that mean? That means it's a game of dreams. I'm not even joking. It's a game of dreams. Or think of it a game of simulations. And if you're someone who says the world is a simulation, like you better be able to explain it right. So I am going to explain it to you in a way that you will realize it was not the fault of anyone. You will realize all your trauma, all the things that didn't happen for you or did happen to you. All of them was, in some sense, nobody, nothing outside of you's fault to some. Let me tell you how mysterious consciousness and the soul is. You have a body, and what is the problem the body is trying to solve? The body is trying to replicate itself. Pretty much DNA is another way of saying nature's effort to immortalize, to actually see what this world is like. It's fascinating. There was such beauty and complexity, but nothing on earth to see. That doesn't make sense. The cosmos doesn't make sense having this much specific design and shape and uniqueness and there being no agency to see it. Obviously, there's greater seers. It's like I'm trying to say, obviously, the moment turns beyond our understanding because it is contextually more unknown than how we conceptually know it. Human civilization is a game in a linguistic simulation. To explain to you the exact simulations of reality, you must just understand one thing. If your whole life you've been looking at everything and being like, yo, it's real. My body is real. This world is real. I'm others are real. To go down the path of a simulationist is equivalent to starting the day by asking what is, not what is real. The strategy is civilization has been looking for what is real. But try to count the simulations. I'll do it here. The first simulation, it is legit the physical location of the world. We are acquainted with the idea of entropy. So we all know we are physically simulated for some time, and then we step out of the simulation. But what comes along with being physically simulated? So think of it this way: there is a chemical simulation on something. There is a physical simulation, then a chemical simulation, then a biological simulation. Okay, and simulation we can say it's a physiological simulation. Physiology has to do with the physiology of the physical body. And then there is a psychological mode to life. There is a psychological simulation, and where I'm talking to you from. So there's one way to map it. Yeah, guys, everything is real. Or another way is to realize the simulations are present in reality. Doesn't mean they are real. Reality starts from a private certainty and then moves to a public uncertainty, eventually to conclude as a collective certainty. In other words, if you want to know how, if like those people who know how to play a game, they are further ahead than the moment they know how to play it. In other words, if I know how to give a talk or if I know how to do something in this moment, a part of my being is already ahead of this game. I don't know if the viewers know this, but in 2024, I was crossing the street and I got hit by a car. And I turned around and hit my left knee. I flipped into the air. Anyways, I go to the hospital the whole time, calling out to the system admin and apologizing. In some sense, being like, God, let me play sports again. I haven't touched the soccer in 15 years, and I wanted to be a soccer player. Anyways, I go to the hospital. They do MRI, and it's as if nothing has happened. Nothing is shocked. For around 2 weeks after that, I had jolts when I would go to sleep. I would see the car nonstop. And in my mind, this thought lingered: if I was 2 steps ahead and it was a green BMW, like at night, and I was like, in my mind, I was just thinking, why, God, am I still here? That is one of the purest states I have experienced. A moment where my psychology cannot map the extent of this unknown event. I have been living as if it's done, the life of the known life. Not that it's done, but I'm saying it's as if I have lived enough on this planet looping as an ideological construct, endlessly resurfacing. What are we, dolphins? Every day we wake up, oh my god, jump out of the water as an ego, and then we jump back into the water as the stillness of deep sleep. When I was younger, I had in view of myself that I was a coward. I had that view of myself. I didn't like myself at all when I was young. Hence my introversion and shyness. But years later, I understood, like decades later. It's strange. It's as if everybody's living day to day, going about their lives, and I'm just standing here. I'm like, yo, does everyone realize there will come a moment where you cannot engage this realm? Like, what is death? Disconnection from the biological body. In other words, if there's a disconnection from the biological body, in other words, you can't do anything as a body. So all the privileges of being somebody are going to be at some point, like the exam's over, the pencil has to be dropped. Why do you think in so many talks I've said we're in a simulated testing zone within a divine surveillance state? Just because it's not shaped and provable to shapes doesn't mean it's not there. There has been so many ways mankind has looked at itself through human history. We are reaching that point as a species, all of us, and where we are realizing a part of our psyche has outmatured nationalism, and where we are left is speciesism. Right now, our species war is a sign of the humanity having an identity crisis. In the same way, mental problems are signs of the person not being able to handle their situation, like a crisis of that sort. I'm saying, guys, the war of nations, it's a bigger problem. It's not it's the fact that these human beings are convinced one limit resources are limited, wrong. Resources are limited for nations and war. Resources are not limited for a united species administrator. Right now, there's nations at war. In the future, it's going to become the global command center of the United Species. It's going to be the other side of the coin. Today, we're strangers in a world that doesn't, a civilization that doesn't see us to even care for us. In the future, the advanced will find the advanced potential. To me, the word teacher was wrong. There has never been teachers. There should be only beings who pull the curtains of limited reality. And that means I should go start a curtain business and literally pierce veils to windows. Imagine I sell curtains with my lectures on them. Like, how you're like, this dude's selling curtains, but his curtains are novels. I had a vision after my death. I don't know how long, like how many years after, in all the parks, there's like these pillars, these cylindrical pillars with my lectures on them. And on top of them, a hand that's pointing, an index finger pointing to the sky. And it's funny because you guys don't get it. I am creating something that I will not be here on some level. Like this is the weird thing. And because I'm shy and introverted, it's like a part of me is like, oh my god, am I gonna die as a mystery to others? But either way, it's fine. It's a mystery. And that means we are not a species in time where we are playing with time to create the opportunity for clarity. In other words, if I came to you and told you, hey man, give me everything in your life, and I'll give you an idea written on a piece of paper, would you exchange all of your physical reality for one single ideology? You will realize no, because a single ideology cannot represent the scale of everything in your reality. What does this mean? This means humans are not willing to exchange their whole experience, conscious experience of life, for an ideology. Then how have we all been doing it for centuries? This is the goosebump moment. I have had around 12,500 plus days on this planet. Like, I've served this world of ours as an existential content, okay, from 1991. That means my existential purpose began in 1991. I find my true experiential purpose was being discovered throughout the years. That means ideas, in the same way cells of a body change, the depth of all the ideas I had access to in my youth and how I see them now is different. You might not understand. Like when I come and give these talks, yeah, to you listeners, I'm just like some dude talking. When I'm giving them, I'm legit in a virtual reality experience in my imagination. I see it like a film. We're in a film of life right now. You guys don't understand. More than the actor being happy, the whole film matters. Like one of the funniest things, I don't know if people know this, but the actors on the set of like Pirates of the Caribbean, like it was such an awesome set that they were so relaxed that like the famous actors were drinking. They were actually drinking. Like the characters in the film were drunk, so they were drinking too. You know, Pirates of the Caribbean was pretty much like how do we monetize like famous actors drinking? You know what I mean? Which worked out. You know, but in the show, like in the behind the scenes, they had a scene where swords would jump from the ground and they had to grab it, and the four actors were like intoxicated and they had to do so many takes. Guys, there's a dark side and a bright side to directing, okay? And I'm not talking about like secret organizations. All of that stuff is to reach out. Like, I'm sorry, that's the wrong way to go about the significances of this world. People are fighting over invisible masters, not realizing the whole thing is simulated under the source code command of an unconditional moment. That means this is not the original world. This, you guys might think like this is such a simple sentence, but to be a consciousness at all, and to realize and to be able to accept that your world is a simulation among many, and it is not the original reality, is something unthinkable. It's like you don't understand, like they're like, yo man, it's a philosophy. You don't get it. It's the edge of reality. Ludwig Wittgenstein was onto something very heavy. said, the limits of my language are the limits of my world. When the Sufi mystic poet Hafiz, I'm not a Sufi, but when the Sufi mystic Persian poet Hafiz from 800 years ago said, the words you speak become the house you live in. It means that ideological simulation occupies the attention of the being. We're not living responsibly in the inner realms, and people are quite struggling to be responsible in the outer realms. What is it that we all know and yet we ignore? Something simple. Some riddles are legit the world situation. The challenge is ahead. Like if somebody's saying the moment turns beyond understanding, let me give examples. Many people know life is about attitude, and attitude suggests quality of energy. And a person's attitude is their response to their daily information they have access to at the moment. As humans, more as modern humans, more in the information age, we have to be responsible for information. Parents have to teach their kids to ask good questions, to ask questions until they find an answer that they can't forget. Pretty much what I see is a species that is everything in reality is doomed. That we've been taking care of our outer lives and avoiding the importance of our inner lives. And now we've reached that moment in history where we cannot allow an idea to hold on moment anymore. And mankind, the whole species, is awakening. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's going on? Nations are at war. World War III seems inevitable. Do you know what is going on planet Earth? Human beings are still on poverty struggling to make it in the capitalistic system. Nations are at war. And what should everybody do? Let me tell you, we have been our species through the vicious egos of the leaders of mankind, unfortunately, has been cornered. Just like animal that's cornered, do you know what happens? Cornered animal psychology is violence. It's like the amygdala that's like fight or flight. If I can't run away, I'm going to attack. So right now, people are still calm. They're not convinced it's World War III. But I'm telling you, if this thing escalates, and if all of humanity does not, in some sense, level up in their identity as members of the whole species rather than specific stories that they've been adopting just because their ancestors told them. We're living in an era where it doesn't matter if you're religious or not. If you're not religious, serve humanity. If you're religious, serve God, the greatest creators, one of God's greatest creations, mankind. To me, I find it very bizarre. That it's not even well articulated. You see, on this planet, you have found human beings at some point to discover that they can use an idea as an Iron Man suit. Okay, and you find in history religion or pure and good ideas being used as weapons, okay, or as shields, or as Iron Man suits, as armor. For example, I'm Persian and I'm from Iran. If I was to explain to you what's going on inside that country and outside, I'm not going to talk about outside because we're not talking about too much politics. I don't want to get into it. I just want to tell you, it's like there is a devil that is using religion to control the state. That is, notice that dude's the devil. It's inevitable. Evil cannot hide itself from its own consequence. This is what any being that goes towards chaos, like if there was a wise sage that could say something to them, this is what the sage would say. Chaos, the chaos that devours, is devoured by a greater chaos. Never forget this. Evil, there's a chance, imagine 50-50 chance. You do something evil, nothing happens. Or you do something evil happens to you. You can't poke the bear. You cannot be ignorant and then wonder what happened. As a hobby, you don't know how many nights there's been where I've wondered about what the most advanced jet of the most advanced army of humanity would do if it was teleported on Earth. And you know what the answer is? The answer is they are so advanced, the problem doesn't even exist. That's next level problem solving. In 2026, ideas of people which are parts of their moment possess their whole moment and they wonder why they are never satisfied. In the outer realms, nations are fighting over strategic rivers, and at the same time, it's just humans. From the beginning, it was humans, and the end, humans. We are ambassadors of this sort of intelligence in the cosmos. I don't care if there's even like 100,000 Earths and countless solar systems, you know, doesn't matter. There is none like this. We are not just specifically designed, we are specific. And if we are such a tiny part of the whole cosmos and such a tiny part of the observable universe, in the future, every moment will be empowered. There will be no such thing as depression. The media will just be the advancement of reality. Every day you wake up, it's like you're present in the greatest path in the cosmos. That's what it feels like to wake up in advanced civilization. Before there are mistakes, there are countless probabilities reviewed. You know, in 2026, the world was still imperfect. 1,000 years from now, they're going to be like, how did they live without advanced cyberware or advanced AI? Like, how did they drive cars? Like, what sort of next level religious faith did on it that they drove cars without, AI navigating? Or, they're going to be shocked. They're going to be scared. They're going to be like, how did, they're going to think like I was like a type, like they're going to like, no way. This person back in the day with that slow speed of internet, was like recording. It's honestly like the only way to communicate to the beyond and the outer realm. What else is there? Draw, write, invent, and speak. They're like, why do you talk so much? It's like the system. It's like we were created with mouths and ears. ears. It's like asking, why do we have mouths and ears? Why are we able to engage, notice, organize information, access visions when one of us has a good idea and shares it, everybody suddenly has a good idea. Like there's something incredible about that. People are living in their own worlds, seeking, yearning for belonging to greater realities. Everybody's like this. It's like show me somebody who doesn't want to be in a better world. It's like everybody wants to be in a better world because it's possible. Reality is fascinating. Why? Because it's honestly like a gift. My whole life has been opening the gift. How many days, like, I've woken up and I'm like, all right, let's equip like a character in a video game. Let's equip the armor and the weapons and the sword and shield of the day, and then go function. It's like a bunch of unknown beings that didn't know what to do, so they're like, "Yo, let's tell a story." The unknown is something that when you're younger, you're scared. It's eerie. Sorry, you're scared of when you're older. It becomes a bit eerie. Then at some point, you realize it is the uncharted territory. Imagine all of civilization has been living in the sea, and they don't know what nature is. It's the uncharted nature. To me, it's all about okay, the system's thinking. I'm a system. Okay, as the system, I'm present inside another system. Therefore, I define one system as like an element of a greater system. What is the value of me? What is the value of my expression? What is the value of my life? Because that means everybody can basically agree we're some sort of energy, right? Right now, you can think it's divine energy or non-divine energy, whatever. But I'm saying everybody agrees. They're like, all right, man, like you at least agree that we're an energetic occurrence right now. And everybody's like, yeah, man, all right, the whole species can agree we're some sort of, where we are energy. We're energy contained in a certain way and hence why we eat food to maintain that energy. It's like, is that a fat person? No, that's somebody who really likes containing energy. Fat people are just people who stored more physical energy. You know, and imagine like you could donate your fat. I think that could happen in the future. Can you imagine? Like they're like, yo, man, you used to be fat. Now you're so perfectly slim without any like stretch skin or anything. You know, and imagine the person's like, body. It's not just that. I donated my body fat to university for science. Can you imagine at the end of like, like some sort of like body transformation surgery? So the person's like, sir, the hospital has a service for $500. We'll turn your extra fat into a sculpture that looks like you just like when you were fat. You know, and we'll be like, buddy, just make a statue out of clay. It's like, I just study the fat and get science needs a sort of proof. People look at Da Vinci and they're like, yo, man, that dude was a genius. They don't realize, man, this guy was freaking creepy. Like, of granted, his mind was like intellectually, like intellectual competence, that's all about. But I'm saying, like, the dude wanted to draw what's inside the body. That's a question ahead of its time. Like, at that time, how many dead bodies did he figure out how to draw? At some point, you know what I mean? It's like the chaos of the old world. It's better left unconquered at some point. To me, when I speak, sometimes I feel start on the internet. And then I know that to pilot in the inner realms, you simply have to understand the nature of your intention. Like Yoda looking at Luke, telling you to understand the force. People like using a lightsaber, everybody having their own lightsaber, everybody using their own force or something. I'm telling you, like, it's the other way around. What Yoda failed to explain to everybody with learning force was that it's like you guys think you're you. Yoda was the force entity. It wasn't Yoda having access to the force. Like that's the deeper understanding. And of course, I don't know if people know this, but I think the author of Star Wars was highly influenced by the book of Okay, so Star Wars has a sort of like ancient Indian metaphysics, but in a very far future. It's like you take an ideology from ancient times and you modernize it in space, and you're like, is that a knight with this giant? And they're like, yeah, it's a show. You see, there's simulations in reality. Simply said. Guys, I'm going to say this to kind of like bring this to a conclusion. Ultimately, it was first an unknown world, and then there was unknown selves, and then these unknown selves noticed themselves, identified themselves, made themselves known using language and names and symbolism. And then this symbolism, language, and names has been, in some sense, the biggest uh, black hole that has sucked like all of us is. I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's one of the most interesting and at the same time strangest simulations. Okay, so it's like strategic wise, it would be like, okay, first convince the human beings that they can know themselves, then convince themselves they're a specific thing, then convince themselves that they can only have specific ideas on this specific thing they think they are. Okay, then at some point watch civilization loop and you control it from a distance. And it's not just that, it's just a waste of human energy. It's if that means if imagine somebody held a sword and they held the sword so long they thought the sword was their arm. In the same way, we used ideology to explain our experience at some point, but we held on to it so long we have become ideas. The story, a person extracts way more emotions from that than just being in space. The value is obviously in the and in the interaction, right? So there's nouns and verbs. Our bodies are nouns. It's like what our experience and what moves the nouns is a verb. Do you understand? That means effort is the activation of force. You're like this energy, and your effort, you're like this energy containing itself. And effort is like you release that energy, do you know, in a certain direction. So I'm saying that that force that decides and that force that is aware of the thoughts even before the decision, and it's like once you accept the reality, that reality becomes empowered, it activates. For example, for me, when I see in my inner realms the title of the talk and I see a visual to it, then I know where I'm like piloting my attention, and I just start from one context and build up to that context, you know. There's so many ways to live. Okay, there's so many ways to be. We don't know everything, but we do know that it's an opportunity. So human body simulated for 100 years, you know, human psyche is simulated during that 100 years, but because of time dilation, it can experience it differently. You can think your life was short, or you can feel your life was long. There's been so many different views on this by different human beings. So the experience of time is different. At some point, really, what religions are all technically arguing over is what is the actual context of the original source of power to everything. And the answer is it's original and unconditional. What else do you want? That means, like Muslims and Christians, Muslims may not agree Christ is God, may not agree. They may agree that uh, God, the Holy Spirit is sent by the divine, but they don't believe the the Ruh al Quds or the Holy Spirit is God. It's more like God's command. And then God, the Creator, is the God that is beyond everything. That means when Christ was on the cross, this was I don't know, scene from a film or actual Christ, but it was like Christ was on the cross and he was saying, "Forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing." Like, to me, Christ was not saying that to himself. Christ was not worshiping himself. Christ was a sort of human way of getting us to realize the divine nature. That means the divine of Christ, all divinity is the command of God, but it is not God. Do you know what I mean? Ways that the Son can never be the Father. I'm saying, like, in real life. Do you understand? So I'm saying that Muslims and Christians, they have got the Creator, which is there before creation. So what does this mean? If you're religious, you're technically looking at life and being like, okay, there was the original moment, original being, or an absolute being, or an original unconditional moment, and then the condition of a being or the condition of a world arose. So the world, the physical world, was not the first thing in the room. It was, in some sense, the movement of forces. Do you understand? All of physical reality, we're like, yo, man, we got to figure out its cause. It could be the effect of something. What do we do then? I don't know why I feel like going into a quote tunnel of Hafez. Again, this Persian poet from 800 years ago. He had this thing called the gift. There we go, Goodreads. I think this is a reliable website. They're like, yo, man, Mr. Within lectures are interesting. In the middle of it, he just reading poems from a poet from 800 years ago in Persia. Hafez says the earth would die if the sun stopped kissing her. Hafez says the heart is the what the okay, this is written wrong. The heart is a thousand stringed instrument that can only be tuned with love. Hafez says, listen, the world is the lunatic sphere. Don't always agree it's real, even with my feet upon it and the postman not knowing my door. My address is somewhere else. He means the origin of the where the force is happening. It's way more non-local. It's non-local. It's not from here. Says, let's get loose with compassion. Let's drown in the delicious ambience of love. Okay, this guy's really feeling it. He says, sometimes I say to a poem, in quotations, I have the strength to wring out another drop of the sun. And the poem will often respond by climbing onto a bull, then lifts its skirt wings, causing the whole to fall. Okay. Hafez says all your wounds from craving love exist because of heroic deeds. You know, like Marvel should make a film, a very advanced film, right, where Iron Man and all the Avengers are going to therapy, okay, and the therapist is like the villain or something. I don't know, that'd be hilarious. It's like, yo, man, your session with Doctor Doom started 5 minutes ago. It's like, what? Okay, anyways, that's a Marvel's reference, guys. Don't take that out of context, okay? Hafiz says, love is the funeral pyre where I have laid my living body. All the false notions of myself that once caused fear, pain, have turned to ash as I neared God. What has risen from the tangled web of thought and sinew now shines with jubilation through the eyes of angels and screams from the guts of infinite existence itself. Love is the funeral pyre where the heart must lay its body. So I gotta say something here. For example, in Islam, or let me say it in a way more universal, more general, there would, for those who are God conscious, there's levels to it. One level is just knowing God exists, and when you're just at that level, your relationship with religion is more, I guess, performance based, more like robotic based. Then it's seeing the movement of the divine, then it's being in the presence of the divine. I don't know how to say it. Like you start off by being like, okay, potentials of divinity can exist. And then one day you look at it and you're like, what's moving everything though, for any reason at all? And then you start seeing. You're seeing how, in an unknown moment, matter and atoms are coordinating themselves different than the laws of nature. Hafiz says there's so many positions of love, each curve on a branch, the thousand different ways your eyes can embrace us, the infinite shapes your mind can draw, the spring orchestra of sense, the currents of light combusting like passionate lips, the revolution of existence's skirt whose folds contain other worlds, or every sigh that falls against his inconceivable omnipresent body. Hafiz says, the sky, this sky where we live is no place to lose your wings. So love, love, love. Hafiz says lovers don't tell all of their secrets. They might count each other's moles that reside in the shy regions, then keep that tally strictly to themselves. God and I have signed a contract to be even more intimate than that. Okay, this guy's taking it too far. Though a clause mentions something about not drawing detailed maps to all his beautiful laughing moles. Yeah, because I mean, aside from this guy, Hafiz's poetic context, the unseen is in the jurisdiction of the higher order process. We are the lower order simulated process. The higher order original process is really what life is adjusting. So if somebody was like, all right, what is all of existence aligning towards? All simulated realities are aligning to the original moment they were simulated from, and they will return to. The poet Hafez says, why just ask the donkey in me to speak to the donkey in you when I have so many other beautiful animals and brilliant colored birds inside? that are longing to say something wonderful and exciting to your heart. Let's open all the locked doors upon our eyes that keep us from knowing the intelligence that begets love and a more lively and satisfying conversation with the friend, with a capital F, with the friend. Let's turn loose our golden falcons so they can meet in the sky where our spirits belong, necking like two kids. Let's hold hands and get drunk near the sun and swing sweet songs to God until He joins us with a few notes from His own sublime lute and drum. If you have a better idea of how to pass a lonely night after your glands may have performed all their little magic, then speak up, sweetheart, speak up for Hafiz and all the world will listen. Why just bring your donkey to me asking for stale hay and a boring conference with the idiot in regards to this precious matter? Such a precious matter as love, when I have so many other divine animals and brilliant colored birds inside that are all longing to so sweetly greet you. Okay, okay, this was too much for me to even comment on, but I think what he's saying is he's saying the actual nature of reality, it surpasses, I guess, a sort of mind level engagement of it. Even it's like you can localize, like you're like, okay, my body's in Canada, my mind is in Canada, but when it comes to localizing the force that moves, you can't at some point. Hoffa says true art awakens the extraordinary ovation. Hafez says, for we have not come here to take prisoners or to confine our wondrous spirit, but to experience ever and ever more deeply our divine courage, freedom, and light. There we go. Hafez says, I'm a hole in the flute that the Christ's breath moves through. Listen to this music. I am the concert from the mouth of every creature, singing with them with the myriad chorus. Hafiz says, what is the root of. No, I think I read this. Okay, anyways, he says, what is the root of all these wounds? One thing, love, but a love so deep and sweet it needed to express itself with scents, sounds, colors that never before existed. What is the key to untie the knot of the mind's suffering? Question mark. Benevolent thought, sound, and movement. Benevolence. So this guy's saying, attain the state of benevolence in thought, sound, and movement. Hafiz says, troubled, then stay with me, for I'm not. Lonely, in question mark, 1,000 naked amorous ones dwell in ancient caves beneath my eyelids. Riches, here's a pic. My whole body is an emerald that begs in quotations, take me. Write all that worries you on a piece of parchment, offer it to God. Even from the distance of a millennium, I can lean the flame in my heart into your life and turn all that frightens you into holy incense, ash. Yeah, I mean, the Sufis had a sort of alchemy and transformation of the personal reality and the divine love of the original presence. That means it's a path of love, but it's a love that is dissolving the individual boundary. So it's kind of like when you read Hafez, Rumi, Attar, Shams Tabrizi, all these dudes, Sadi, not as much maybe, but anyways, like when you read these dudes, you see these poets from ancient times. It's like it's not an individual consciousness speaking through them. It's like they're individuals that have noticed a collective presence of being, whether they've noticed that being living through all human beings or they've noticed that being present beyond the human idea. The poet Hafiz says, I wish I could speak like music. I wish I could put the same splendor of the fields into words so that you could hold truth against your body and dance. I am trying the best I can with this crude brush, the tongue, to cover you with light. I wish I could speak like divine music. I want to give you the sublime rhythms of this earth and the sky's limbs as they joyously spin and surrender against God's luminous breath. Hafiz wants you to hold me against your precious body and dance. Okay, guys. I'm starting to realize these may be actually like love poems of this dude to someone. Like, okay, he says, I have learned so much from God that I can no longer call myself a Christian, a Hindu, a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Jew. The truth has shared so much of itself with me that I can no longer call myself a man, a woman, an angel. All right. Yeah, that means the unknown life. He's entered his unknown life. His poems are coming from his unknown life. Yeah. That's what it is. After some state, it's not like a known being, just knowing things. It's like an unknown presence of it all happening. I don't know what else I can say. Anyways, folks, in 30 minutes, there will be a Discord event. Click on the link and join it. And we're going to discuss the future of humanity. Because I'm probably going to take a break from these talks, I thought, why not? It's just Saturday. Tomorrow's Sunday. Anyways, let's see. Final thoughts on the moment turns beyond our understanding. Well, that's the nature of growth. Every day I wake up, it's like a meaning to it all. The content of the day, even though in certain ways the same, but still there's differences. Every day has a sort of engagement of activity. Living on earth is witnessing not just what happens to you, to others as well. And at the same time, you're part of a species that has allowed itself to, has somehow, let me say, it has forgotten its true potential. Like, that's what's hard to see. I'm like, why do we have minds that could see ahead and then live like the past? That makes no sense. That means the future of humanity, excuse me, the future of humanity is the return of a known simulated state back into an unknown state. Hopefully by then it will have the next level consciousness of the unknown. That's the only thing that to me makes sense. I'll say it again. It started from an unconscious unknown. It started from an unknown, let's say unconscious unknown world. Then there was an unconscious unknown self. Then this being became a conscious somehow and became a conscious unknown self, still unknown. And then it used language and symbolism to subjectively recreate itself. So we're physically playing the video game of life by behind our eyes playing another version of it. So the conscious unknown self, by the means of language, became the conscious known self. Now we're all being raised in a society where if you're not a conscious known self, there's something wrong with you. The judgment in civilization is not physical. It's more like pattern recognition based. So we became conscious known selves. Then this conscious known self has been consciously knowing the world, converting the unknown into theories, formulas, definitions, everything, whatever. Thinking subjects and objects endlessly. In other words, we are all conditioned and prepared conscious known selves in a conscious known world. Now, this is where it gets deep, where you realize the conscious known world that human beings created is only real to them. This is where you get goosebumps. Okay? And you do you understand? That means the only thing now left is to consciously return to the unknown self and consciously return to be conscious of the unknown world. We've seen how we can know it. We've played those levels. The next levels is being able to consciously be unknown and then realize, yo man, there's the world is unknown. So imagine the difference in responsibility level. Imagine the difference in emotion. How do you feel if you were an unknown being in an unknown world right now and everything is a theatrical subjective operation? Force interacting with an unknown moment. There is more unknown than known. There is the observable is so small compared to the unobservable that this whole time it's like in a we've been acting big. We are ants, but to ourselves we think we're giants. I'm bored by the past and present. It's happened too much. I've even reached a point when I see people, I'm like, I don't even care about this person's past. I don't even care about their present. I just care about what that intelligent being is looking at. What future vision is causing them to move. Anyways, folks, it's 6:40. What time did I say the Discord event starts? Hold on. It starts in 50 minutes. 7:30. Okay. Okay, I got 50 minutes. We're all attending an unknown event. More than we're living in one world, it's like many worlds are living through us in one world. Yet there is a position of one soul. And what is the soul? From the theological lens, we realize personal meaning is simulated, collective meaning is also simulated, and ultimately we stand in the same moment that we were born before language clothed us into a specific character. It's like it's knowable, reality is knowable in certain ways, but the depth of it is unknown. It's like we're all living a limited life in a limitless place and wondering why our limited views don't make sense. Like, Anyways, folks, I'm going to end the talk here. Discord event starts in exactly 46 minutes from now. I'm probably going to take a break from the talk, so try. Anyways, thank you for listening. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful, and the most advanced, in honor of the original, unconditional moment that all conditional moments have arisen from and will return to. For on this side of the world, on this side of the coin of reality, we adapt conditions, but on the other side, everything is a command of an original moment. That's the soul is the original command of the system admin. To know your soul is it's like you're looking for the original code, source code beyond any ego code or social code. All right, guys, thank you for listening. Discord event in 45 minutes, let's say. And yeah, we're going to talk about the future of humanity. Take care. Thank you for listening. And rise, mankind, rise beyond everything you've ever seen. The future waits for us in all the moments we have been suffering from just the past and present. The future is divine grace. To be conscious of the future is a blessing. To ignore the future is to ignore why the past and present function. Anyways, thank you for listening. Take care.